This pandemic has done a number on our social capabilities. We don't have a sense of belonging anymore, and that is not good at all for a lot of people when you have a lot of pressure being applied to you from all aspects of life. You need something that takes you out of your day-to-day runnings. You need something that lets you lets you detach from yourself and your life and your issues. And where does that lead us to? It leads us to sports, of course. Sports have been an essential component of life, of competition, of establishing a healthier life, a goal that we all strive to achieve. Sports have played such a humongous role when it comes to what actually ascertains to being the ideal human being. This pandemic derailed all of that. But then we saw something that we never saw before. We saw a sport that was so young in its conception come back against all odds and bring sports back onto the market. And for a lot of you, this might be something that you never expected. A sport that you've never heard of. Yet it was the first one back. Despite of the pandemic. Because of all the right decisions that were made by the administration. And what I'm talking about is, of course, the UFC. The UFC did everything right. And of course, they had cases. But they were on top of everything, every single time. Not a single event cancelled. And now they're back in full swing. There's no other league that could have competed or even contemplated that we have to compete with what the UFC was doing, because everyone had just given up and left. But after watching them succeed time and time again, they've been at this for more than 3 months now. And now you can see the NBA, the NFL, everyone considering coming back in their own ways, taking their own steps. And no bigger example today than the IPL. It's back. It's not in India. And it's definitely not with the crowd. So half of the element is gone. Yet, the immersion factor is still there. All across social media you can see IPL everywhere now that it's on. It's on in full swing. And why? We aren't in stadiums. Why does it still have such a grip on us? As a civilization, we've always deemed ourselves worthier if we were a part of something grander than ourselves. Which makes absolute sense. It's in our genes. Our sense of belonging in nature is only completed once we accomplish a unity factor with a group of individuals. Usually it's a family or a friend circle or a team or a fan following. It's all about where you can make those connections that give you those satisfactory moments in life when you feel like, yes, I belong to something grander than who I am. And in the middle of all this, there's only one thing that we need to thank, and that is the internet. The internet was something that the last pandemic lacked. And I am sure that people got complacent way faster back then. Now with the internet, a lot of us can make the right choices, stay indoors most of the time, and make sure that we're safe. But we cannot ignore the fact that people get bored. People want to step out. It's completely natural. Having the internet, however, is a good bridge in trying to push that urge further away. Create a little hotspot for yourself. Everything that you like is at your fingertips. It's epic in its own fashion. And nevertheless, it's been the savior that we all needed so desperately. Can you imagine going through this pandemic without the internet? Ever thought of that? Take a minute, think it through. What if you didn't have internet? What if the internet never existed and COVID hit? Would be a whole different ball game now, wouldn't it? The one thing that you see amongst the sports that are coming back now, there is a trend that can be easily identified. And that is the fact that major corporations are paying big money to have their name plastered all over. Smart marketing strategy, of course, because you have the maximum eyeballs on you. People have nothing else to do. Of course, everything that's being broadcasted now is making immense numbers. Why? Because people are giving things opportunities. People are giving new projects a chance, new creators a chance, which is always appreciated when you understand that it's very hard to retain a certain audience type, but you have to cultivate your own. People who might enjoy spoken word content might not necessarily enjoy animation, might not necessarily enjoy something else, and vice versa. It makes sense. People don't have the same taste, but then again, there are those that share similar interests. And if enough of them get around, then the word spreads to more who share the same philosophy. And once you get to the point in which you cultivated an incredible audience, the next step is of course going to be advertising, because that's where you make most of your money. These leagues have done that. They cultivated huge fan followings. And now these big sponsors, in terms of big corporations who see an opportunity to make some bank by advertising just at the right places, you'd be surprised to see some of the advertising this year. So all these major leagues, you'll see corporations that you'd never see ever advertising on sports leagues. Don't be surprised there, because it's the smart thing to do. If you can afford it, and if you believe that your business can turn around in the middle of this, if you make the right moves, that is, then why not? The whole issue of turning a profit from the pandemic is queasy nonetheless. It's not good in order of thinking whether it's ethical enough. But then there are things that you can't really get in the way of. Business is business is business. It'll always be that way because it's always been that way. An opportunity, if not grabbed by someone out of goodwill, will always be grabbed by another person. It's the harsh reality of the world. But on the flip side of things, sports makes us a part of something bigger. So whatever be your poison, be it the IPL, be it the NFL, be it the NBA, be it the UFC, or be it the EPL, or Formula 1 maybe. There's so many different sports out there that are on their way back, slow and steady. Smaller leagues are on their way back. The Olympic Committee is under talks to figure out how things are going to work out the following year. There is so much that needs to be done in order to bring life back the way it was. And maybe it'll never be the way it was. But the least we can do is try and affiliate ourselves with something that's bigger than us. So if you enjoy sports, by all means, enjoy them to the fullest. And give some sports a chance if you don't enjoy them. You never know, you might find your calling in a sport that you've never seen in your life. Ever. And yet you see one little glimpse of it and you're hooked. Happens all the time. You'd be surprised. So give sports a shot. Stay healthy up here. Stay healthy in here. And I'll see you guys in the next one.